Hello, Uta here, shielding my computer from oops, not completely, from the dirt that's on a daffodil bulb. This is my artifact of the day, a daffodil bulb that a critter, probably a woodchuck or a squirrel, pulled out of the ground and ate half of but didn't eat all of it. I am going to do an experiment and put it into a pot of soil and force it, as you say, when you bring a bulb inside. You put it through a period of cold, just like the daffodils outside in the winter, uh, and then after you've brought it inside and put it in a sunny window, it will sprout and maybe flower. This will be a little bit of an experiment. This is an evening post about trans widow Yulia, who is number 57, to respond to my survey 20 questions to ask a trans widow. And of course, this is Uta Hagen from the YouTube channel, Trans Widow Uta Hagen, as well as WordPress blog, utahagengrasswidow.wordpress.com, which is always in the video notes. And you can use the contact form to tell your story, and then I will tell it through my voice. Now, Yulia got married kind of young. A lot of these stories are coming to me from the younger set, and unfortunately, the pattern of behavior I'm noticing with their husbands who ideate a female persona is that they are violent. So it's with her, Yulia added, the statistics are remaining approximately the same. That is just a little over a third of us, in this case, 23 out of 57, have been sexually assaulted. I wasn't. The other two-thirds of us are being strictly honest, and although all kind of things were suggested to us, we weren't assaulted or raped. Unfortunately, many of these young women in surprisingly liberal, socialist kind of places are finding that their government and all these policies do not protect women. So, number one, was this cross-dressing a revelation or your discovery? We were young and I was pretty open-minded. This is pretty typical. I like to experiment with sexual play. We were a young couple. We married when we were both 24 years old. I thought of makeup, high heels, and fishnet stockings as clothes made for sexual play, and when he mentioned he wanted to wear these things, I agreed because I thought that makeup and sexy female clothes on men actually highlights masculine features rather than turning a man into a woman. I can't say that I really understand that, but she is telling us exactly straight what happened and how it all got started. Number two, did he tell you it's under control and not frequent, and then it escalated out of control? She said, no, that wasn't my situation. It does seem to me, though, that it did escalate out of control because he was violent to her, both sexually and physically. So maybe he didn't say, oh, I only do this every third Tuesday, and then it went into every day. But it's a tale of escalation. That's one thing that I will comment. Did he select a therapist? No therapists involved. Money in a secret account or something. She mentioned while we were married, he usually would wear my garments and makeup, or I would get him something from a thrift store. Nothing much. I think that this is it represents kind of like the gaslighting and seemingly innocent deceptions which get started by these basically sociopathic narcissists. Did he wear your clothing or makeup? Yes, he did. Um, did he suggest, coerce, or cajole you into sex uh, role play? Yes, he would introduce me to a strap on. That is a device made to uh, pretend or to look like the male organ, the penis. Uh, he would order it online as well as other sex toys. So these things are just arriving at their home. He's not showing her, the catalog or the website and saying, "Oh, should I get this?" He's just ordering it. He would not specify that I have to play a male role. More like I would have an advantage as a female doing these things. I think he never liked to be with a male. For him, it was important that a female partner penetrates him. So this is not making any sense because females don't have those body parts. At some point, he asked me to call him a girl and a whore. Sorry about the language. This is the exact words of Yulia. And asked me to humiliate him, in quotes, punish him, tie him up, and spank him. Okay. I did not like it. Why would I imagine him as a woman and humiliate another woman? That's because you are thinking like a normal person, and he is not well. To be kind about it, he's not well. There is no question about sissy hypno porn here, but I need to mention that he would watch a lot of this stuff shortly before coming out as trans. So I think what she's saying here is that at first it didn't seem like he was addicted to this pornography whereby the male is being coerced and hypnotized into some kind of humiliation scenario, some kind of role playing that is more and more being exposed as very damaging. Did a therapist suggest any of the above, like this sex device or watching things? No, no therapist involved. Did he vilify you, in any way, publicly or just privately with friends or in court or whatever? She says, I always kept a good relationship with him after we broke up, partially because I was afraid of him doing something violent, partially because I still believe that he can co-parent the kids. So she's really walking a tightrope. There are 2 children involved, so that brings the number of trans orphans in my data here to 36. Okay, just going right through it. Did he claim to any therapist or group of friends that you abused him verbally or physically? Okay, he does claim this in front of the children. Once he mentioned to me that I hit him while we were driving together with kids in the back seats. In fact, he had hit me in the face and I was crying and bleeding. I couldn't do anything because he was driving. This is why I say he's a sociopath. And I was afraid that we would get into an accident. But somehow he retold this story to himself or maybe to his friends and made himself believe that he was the victim. I know the truth. I still have a scar, she says, on my upper lip. That is Darvo. Deny, attack, reverse, victim, and oppressor. That is a classic ploy of narcissists. Did he attack you physically? He did attack me physically many times. He would be shoving and punching me. I had bruises on my face. I never called the police. I was trying to leave him after these episodes, but I would come back because I had no place to stay with the kids. Now you can imagine the seriousness of this whole rape crisis and domestic abuse centers that are supposed to be just for women. You can just imagine if he's willing to switch roles, flip the script, and pretend that she hit him, then, how could she go to a shelter if there are men like him pretending to be women who are staying there? And I know that she's in a country where this has happened. You know, we have it basically in all the Western countries. Did he force unwanted sex? It happened a few times when it was just sex, and I said no, but he continued. But what was happening more often, he would force me to do BDSM, that's domination, sadomasochism, sex with him. He was saying that he was rude to me, he was hitting me, because I do not perform BDSM. That if I tied him up, if I used a strap-on and other practices, he'd be a good spouse to me, he will listen to me, and I'll be his boss. But I was never good enough, so he hit me again. Okay, so he has something going on that's very sick. He might have had something happen in his childhood that he's acting out. It's his subconscious acting out something unspeakable that happened to him, most likely. And this is why an affirming therapist, is never going to discover what it is, what the baggage is that really needs to be worked on. Did you live below the poverty line at any time? I couldn't leave for many years because of money. I left as soon as I had a place to stay and money to pay rent and feed the children. I applied for social assistance later and got social housing. So this was 8 years ago. So, she's, and this is probably one of the first times that she's, telling someone really what happened. No members of the clergy involved. Did anyone, a therapist or him, suggest that you are now obligated to share Mother's Day? No, no one did. I think my friends were expecting me to cut all ties with him, and it sounds like, in a healthy way, she has. In your own individual therapy or in the process of interviewing a therapist for yourself, the thing about, are they requiring that you call him female, and all that stuff, which even it was a real smack in the face. I was thinking about going into some therapy myself, but you, my subscribers, you are the therapy that you could never charge an appropriate fee because it's so invaluable. Okay, but she goes into the therapy that she went into. When I moved out, I was very depressed. I had a therapist, but I myself was referring to my husband with a female name and pronouns. The therapist was a woman in her 50s, and she sometimes would slip and call him he during the sessions. And now this is in one of those countries where she's going to be threatened with losing her credentials as a therapist if she just says, I have to use the correct biological terms. I was telling her how he had a hard childhood, so there we have a clue, that he was abused by his father. Okay, there's another little detail, how the death of his little sister played a role. So we've got trauma, grief, abuse. The therapist said, a lot of people went through similar experiences and they are fine. Don't you make excuses for him. Did you lose a set of friends? No, I did not lose any of my friends. One of my gay friends, whom I have known for many years, said that what he did was very weird and he does not understand this trans thing. A lot of gay men are starting to say that. Of course, lesbians say it too. And okay, bisexual people, yes. Okay, you all say that. My friends were very supportive of me leaving him. For some time, they supported his transition, though. I think some of my friends and I as well were hoping that transition would actually fix him and make him a better person. This is often the case. You know, these guys who are violent, the name Shoop comes to mind, Shupe. Uh, did he start self identifying as mother of the children? And she says, I have no idea. The children are grown now, and she just doesn't have any contact. She said absolutely no about the possibility that he could be called some version of mother by the children. She said absolutely not. I birthed these children, I nursed them, I took care of them, and that he doesn't deserve that. And that's what I say about Nettie, but he continues. He should not be trotting out my labors and the details of my natural childbirths of our two sons, as if that's proving that he did it, which is what he does. Okay, no one blamed her for him deciding to so-called live life as a female. His friends believed it was because of his addiction to sex and pornography. All right, so, you know, it's sort of a classic story. Did he co-opt the childbirth? He was with me in my labor, but he never claimed motherhood. But again, I have no idea what he's telling his new friends. He sounds like the classic case of a guy who might be paying prostitutes. And a former escort wrote to me about these cross-dressing guys once and said this: every cross-dresser I have ever seen professionally was drinking, like meaning drinking alcohol, and doing coke, like I'm meaning cocaine. Some men only call escorts when they're high on coke. And then, oh yeah, she says, which is funny because it's like alcohol. It provokes the desire but takes away the performance. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that she and the other one, the other escort who contacted me, have both left that area of work. And we're just left to connect all the dots and to go out on our walks and to take note of our nature artifacts and be human beings in the natural world. Thank you to new subscribers and loyal stalwarts. Please do copy and post these videos in platforms that you think will get the word out. I think that in a couple of weeks or maybe less, we might get up to 2,000 subscribers. That will be a milestone. We're already up to almost 172,000 views, and a lot of views with the Debbie David Hayton material. Also, be sure to go to my community page and go to the link, which is of the WordPress blog. It's a much more interesting and fascinating and visual blog than me. I think she's a woman, but it's called The Lies They Tell on Twitter at wordpress.com. And she's got a lengthy review of Debbie David Hayton's book, Transsexual Apostate. I always thought it was apostate, but apostate. And she has quotes and everything from the book. If you read the review, you don't need to read the book. And our friend D. Hayton contradicts himself, says really illogical things, and the lies they tell you on Twitter. WordPress blog puts it all out there. So, see you next time. Take care. Remain in nature.